Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, I'm going to be joined by a good friend of mine for a collab about the best class for a beginner to pick, and I will get more into that as we introduce Darth on the video. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and now joined by my good friend, Mr. Darth Microtransaction. I think it's my first time having you on the good old Diablo Immortal channel. How you doing, man?
It might be the first time. I'm doing pretty good, man. It was fun to do some collabs with you this morning.
Yep. We just recorded a video, kind of doing a first reaction to some of the new hyped up footage of some new zones. So I'm gonna link to that down below to check out that over on Darth's channel. But over here on my channel, I wanted to have a discussion about the best choices of class for a beginner player or someone who's new to the Diablo franchise, because Darth and I have played the Diablo franchise for like over 20 years, and we've also been mobile gamers and content creators for a few years now. So maybe hopefully having some insight on how the launch is going to go, and maybe what classes might make sense for you if you are new to the Diablo scene because of the port to mobile. We're gonna see a lot of PC gamers and mobile gamers coming into the same player base, so maybe some of those more mobile oriented players are not familiar with the Diablo mechanics and how the classes work. So we're gonna give you some guidance on which one to maybe choose if you are new to the Diablo franchise. So go ahead, Darth, and kick us off. Let's just talk about each one of the classes. Should we just go in like alphabetical
Okay.
order? So we'll start with the Barbarian, and give me your thoughts on the Barbarian if a beginner wanted to play them.
I think it is high floor, meaning easy to get into at the basic level. It's a whirlwind barb. You just do a bunch of whirlwind, you stomp, you go in with 2 axes, you punch. It's a warrior, okay? I mean, it's pretty much low or a high skill floor, but it also in this game has a high skill ceiling with this hero because of PvP in particular is where I'm going with this. And being a melee class, like you're going to learn to get kited basically. And I kind of think that he does have leaps and stuns and all that, but low risk, high reward is probably how I would describe him if I really had to.
Yeah, and I love how the Barbarian is the, I think it's the only there's a legendary gem that does it, but I think it's the only class with a cheat death. Like you get killed and you have a skill that it's called Undying Rage, and that's going to be amazing for beginners that are trying to get into PvP. Having that cheat death get out of jail free card where you proc a second life that turns you into a life stealing beast. So yeah, I think my prediction is Barbarian is probably going to be the most popular class on launch, because a lot of beginners are going to want to play that warrior, that hack and slash, and take advantage of the melee class with the Undying Rage that is an extra life proc.
Yeah, I think that seems about accurate. The mentioning the gems, I think it's called the Phoenix Ashes, actually just got buffed as of yesterday. The one that revives death from 5 minutes to I think it's 3 minutes now, and has a bigger shield but a lower heal. And I actually think that gem paired with the cheat death, if you're going for like full mouth breathing beginner, like all I want to do is stay alive, basically play the game on auto while watching TV, more or less. I mean, there's no auto in the game, right? But I'm saying, like, just sit there and mindlessly grind. Yeah, you could probably make a build that would do that pretty decently with the warrior.
Cool. So, all in all, to wrap up for the Barbarian, pretty solid choice for beginners diving into the Diablo franchise. So, I think next up in alphabetical order would be what? The Demon Hunter? Crusader.
Crusader?
Yep.
Does C come before D in the alphabet? I'm not sure.
I believe that it does.
Hey everybody, we're some YouTubers here. Tell you that C comes before D in the alphabet. Like, comment, subscribe for more of these Minecraft Let's Plays. Is that about accurate?
Yeah, there you go. Good plug. That'll be the new intro.
Oh, there you go.
Cool. Well, then walk us through the Crusader in terms of a beginner.
Well, the Crusader, from what I hear, is a mix of a support class as well as sort of a PvP aggressive, harassing type of class. The majority of the footage I have seen, because I haven't got to play the Crusader, obviously, is the Crusader running people down in PvP on the horse. Riding on my horse seems to be about 80% of everything I see the Crusaders do in the majority of like player footage. So if that's what you want to do, if you like a horse and you like riding around, and to be fair, the horse makes you go pretty fast. It looks like a good class, and I don't think the Crusader is going to be a beginner-friendly class, personally. Because from what I'm seeing, the Crusader seems heavily cooldown dependent on the moves like the horse. And typically, people who are heavily dependent upon cooldowns mean when you mess up the cooldown, you get punished very heavily. And that's my vibe I'm getting from the Crusader from the people I've talked
Yep.
to. I think it's in the middle of the ground or one of the more difficult ones to play,
I
probably.
kind of agree with you. Also for group play, it's kind of the Crusaders' job to scout and run around and group up enemies, and they have a very vital support role within the team to scout where we're going next and be the leader of the party and group things up with drawn quarters. So yeah, I do think because of the burden of the role of the Crusader and the long cooldowns, like you mentioned, it can be very punishing on mistakes. And you do have to kind of place your support abilities like the banner in the perfect spot and have things ready to rock at the right time. So yeah, I do think what we're going to do, actually, I'm making an executive decision here on the fly. We're going to go,
Executive decision.
we're just going to do the next melee class and then we'll do the range
All right.
classes. So we'll go monk after this. But yeah, I
You're
do
changing
think,
it up on the viewers. You're making it harder on them. What are you doing?
I think we're in agreement. The Barbarian might be a little bit better choice between Barbarian and Crusader for a beginner.
I would think so. I mean, I would assume. I haven't played both of them, but that's what I would think, yes.
Cool. Well, that leads us into Monk, and I can go ahead and start this one off. So the Monk is going to be based around, it's kind of like the melee version of the Wizard, where you need to like set up combos, set up your 7-sided strike, and then kind of get a situation that's advantageous of you to blast things down. And you can also have really good mobility with the dashes, similar to the Wizard teleport. So go ahead and walk us through your thoughts on the Monk.
I could be wrong because of the way the teleport works, like you're talking about in particular, probably means you're going to need to be very actively looking at what you're doing. From a little bit of footage I've seen on the Monk, there's a lot of your tornado into an AoE combo. It seems like a fairly simple, like 3-button combo. You run in, you group them up with your tornado, you exploding palm from all sides, they die. It seems like a pretty simple combo, to be honest. I don't see it being incredibly difficult. I mean, you literally teleport from minion to minion with your basic. I think Monk's going to be easier than Crusader, I would think. But you know what? I never played Monk in Diablo 3. I did play pretty much every other class, but Monk was like the one that I avoided. And I feel the most uncomfortable talking about it, if I'm being honest. But I would think Monk would be easier than Crusader and the other ones. And I would think it'd be like Wizard would be like the hardest once we get into like the range ones. Because I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, do I really think Monk's harder than a Wizard? And I don't think it is. So then I'm thinking, do I think a Monk is harder than Crusader? I don't think it is. I think Necromancer is easier than a Monk. I think Necro is going to be like the easiest class. So as I think about it, yeah, I think Monk is probably in the middle. I would say in the middle, but easier than Crusader, if I had to guess, because it just seems like the combo is just a grouping, AoE exploding. That's what I would think. I'd put Monk in the solid.
Yeah, I agree.
Equal.
Like for the melee classes, I'd go like Barbarian, maybe the most beginner friendly, and then Monk, and then Crusader. So yeah, I agree with most of what you said. You got some mobility, you got some AoE damage, you got some support stuff. You kind of check all the boxes. I'd put Monk in the middle, with Barb at first, and then Satyr as the least beginner friendly, which leads us into the ranged classes, and we can go ahead and segue into the class that you're going to be playing in the Necro.
Yeah, I think Necromancer is going to be maybe the easiest class in the game to play. Reason being is it's the same type of thing like Monk, where it's you group them up and then you AoE them down. Like you use Molten Golem, you use the Captain Skeleton, that's just a big whirlwind. And all of these are like pick a spot, people go there in AoE. You even have like this legendary that makes it where they keep everyone in a circle. So you group everyone up in a circle and then you AoE them down. It also has a move that literally makes it where you're just immune to damage, and then it has another move that makes it where you're immune to CC. So if you run them both, you're literally immune to damage and CC during the times it's up. Like it's an easy mode button, and my plan is to get carried by how easy a Necromancer is to play for the first bit, and by the minions, and by stats, and just run through the rifts and let the minions basically kill everything. I think Necromancer is going to be probably the easiest class in PvE to play, maybe a little bit harder in PvP, because from what I understand from PvP, I played at a pretty decent level in a lot of PvP games that are like MOBAs, for instance, that in my opinion, may be a little bit more similar than games like Raid, Platinum Arena, like gacha games. So in those type of games, My experience with people who are CC bots are typically they're either the ones doing the engaging or the follow-up, and that is a very critical role in PvP in particular. It's what kind of decides most fights in team fight scenarios in those type of games. And so for that reason, I would probably say Necromancer is more difficult in PvP because you're not really going to be using your same PvE build to run around with. That would be the logic, I would think.
Yep, I agree with you. I think if you forced me to pick one class for beginners, I would probably go with the Necromancer, just because the ability to have the bone shields for toughness, and then also the minions to be able to help you get more consistent damage. So, yep, I agree with all of that, which will segue us into the class that I'm going to be playing in the Demon Hunter. You know, my thoughts on the Demon Hunter are, it's going to crank out so much damage PvE that it'll be a great choice for leveling. So I think your leveling experience in terms of getting through content might be like second easiest after the Necromancer in terms of being beginner friendly, just because of your ability to crank out damage. But in PvP, it's going to be very tough because your mobility is not that great, and you might be a pretty squishy, easy target.
Yep, I tend to agree with that. I think that's right on the money. The only thing about the squishy part that I would say, maybe not so much is just the bone armor, but like even the bone armor, like you're saying, like it's only up for a certain amount of times. You have to have the legendary build for it and all that. So
Yep. Okay. Well, then we just have the one more ranged class in the wizard, and I think we both kind of touched on this already. It's going to be maybe the least beginner friendly of the ranged classes because of the way it works in terms of comboing and setting up your different combo skills. They also have channeling skills like disintegrate, where you have to stand still. You're obviously immobile. You got to aim it. You've got to really be a skillful spellcaster as the wizard.
yes, I agree. The wizard, I think in particular, I think would be the hardest one. From what I hear, the wizard is maybe the squishiest. Okay. On top of it, you have one reposition, which is your teleport. So if anyone's played Wizard in Diablo 3 knows you teleport into a pack by accident, you're dead. And then on top of it, it's all skill shots. I mean, wizards are basically all skill shots, right? There's not really like, let me just bone armor, hit the button, and everyone gets it. Like, it's, you literally have to land everything, and it's all combos. And there's even interactions with like the crystal, where you put the crystal up and then you have to hit it and it splits the lasers and all this. So it's like, yeah, wizards, what I originally wanted to play, and to be honest, might be more fun than Necromancer because you set them up and you AoE down. And there's some pretty good footage showing people doing, I would say, low skill floor, hard to play, maybe the highest skill ceiling out of all of them is how I feel about it. Like it has the very high risk but very high reward type of mentality.
Yeah. Yep. That's fair. I agree with all that, and I think that means we tend to believe the best classes for beginners would be Necromancer and Barbarian and maybe Demon Hunter, and then the lowest three classes for beginners, Monk was decent, and then the worst for beginners might be the Crusader and the Wizard. Does that sound accurate?
Sounds fairly accurate. I think there's probably something to be said for the Demon Hunter being a little harder than we're giving him credit, if I had to guess. I
Yeah.
think that, he could be a decent difficulty.
Okay. Then it sounds like the consensus would be more towards Barbarian and Necro are the best for beginners. And then kind of in that middle tier, you'd have the Demon Hunter, and then the Monk, Demon Hunter and Monk. And then at the bottom tier for beginners, you would have the Wizard and the Crusader.
That sounds right as far as what I'm aware of, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that was the video I wanted to get out about helping beginners know what they're getting into in terms of picking their class, because it is an important decision in Diablo Immortal. So I am good, unless there was something you think we forgot to add or you want to get something in there.
Yeah, I do want to get something in there. So I think it's important to state that I've done lots of tier lists, you've done lots of tier lists. We've talked about popularity, we've talked about difficulty, we've talked about which one's going to be the best. All of that may have some factor in your decision for the people watching. However, I don't think it should. Like, maybe you can take the information and glean if you're struggling between two classes like me. It's like, oh, Wizard or Necro. Okay, maybe Necro will be a little easier to play. I'll play Necro. Or I want the challenge of a Wizard. I'll play Wizard. But if you have a class you really want to play, don't listen to anything anyone says. Like, don't listen to me. Don't listen to Brad. Don't listen to any YouTuber. Just play what you want to play. Like, that is the best advice anyone can give you. Because, one, you're going to hurt yourself a lot if you change class. Two, you're going to enjoy the game a lot more if you're playing the thing that you visually find appealing and cosmetically find appealing. Because a large part of these mobile games is your cosmetics and how you look and feeling like this character is, synonymous with me. And if you're playing something you just don't see yourself in at all, like if I'm not a monk guy, but I'm just playing it because people are saying it's the best in the class tier list, I'm going to hate the game, and then I'm going to be like, this game sucks, and you'll take it out on the game. Don't do that. Play what you want to play regardless.
Yep. I've said that in many of my videos. Watch content like this for entertainment and context, but ultimately, yeah, you should be picking the class that identifies the most with you. And, ask yourself, what am I the most excited to play? And go with that. Because Blizzard is going to be balancing things. They're going to be adjusting things. They're not going to have any class that is just a trash can. That would be a horrible design concept. So ultimately, it's good to have knowledge and watch videos like this and tier lists and stuff. But when it comes to diving in game, go with your heart and what looks the most fun to you.
100% agree with that.
Cool. Well, good point, Darth, and thanks for the context on that on the way out. And like I said, we just recorded a video over on Darth's channel. I will link to that down below. And thanks for taking the time to join me today, Darth.
Of course, man. Anytime. I love talking about Diablo Immortal. This is an absolute nothing burger to sit here and talk about.
Yeah, we'd be doing this off camera anyway, so we might as well hit the record button. All right, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty, so that will do it for me on this one. Massive shout out to my good friend Darth for joining me today. And like I said, in the conclusion there, I will link to his video that we recorded over on his channel as well. Definitely worth checking out if you are looking for as much information as possible on Diablo Immortal. You'll find all the links down below to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on content, and also to be part of the community we are building around Diablo Immortal. So as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.